Hello plant community, I'm Pam and it is winter time. Hello, welcome to my channel, and today we're going to talk about how to better prepare our plants for success during the winter time. Now let's face it, as a plant parent, what is our number one goal during the winter season? For me, it's just basically keeping my plants alive. But if I happen to get some new growth throughout the season, that's just an added bonus in my personal opinion. Now, it's 5 steps that I'm going to provide you guys with how to set your plants up for success during the winter season. Step number 1, you want to check your area for drafts. So wherever you have your plants, if it's near windows or doors, and you know that it may be drafts there, you want to pull away your plants. If you have plants that's near a door that's being in constant use, sometimes our leaves cannot take that subtle change in temperature and your plants may decline. So it's in your best interest to actually move any plants that you may have through main entryways away. Also, if you have plants near your window, check the windows in your house. Actually put your hands up against the glass. You'll be surprised how cold it is. And if your leaves are pressed up against that glass, there's a chance that they could actually have some type of a frost burn. So for me, in my plant room, on my east-facing window, I have several plants that's actually hanging from the window. But I also know that the leaves on my plants do have a tendency to be pressed up against the glass. So as a security measures for what I did, I actually closed my curtains. I wanted to create a barrier between the plant and the actual window. Behind me as well, I have some plants that's actually on stands, and I pulled them away from the window a little bit. I also have a door in here that has a draft under it even after I close it. So right now, as a temporary solution, I actually have a towel that's folded up and it's pressed up against that doorway. And it's been working so far, so that's just something that I'm using as of right now until I can come up with a permanent situation. Step number 2, you want to adjust your watering routine. Typically in the wintertime, the majority of our plants may go into complete dormancy. They're not using a lot of energy. So when we do water the plants, they are taking longer to actually absorb all of that water. So for example, if your water routine is once a week, you may want to bump it up to once every 2 weeks. Me personally, I don't have a specific watering routine. And if you're like me and don't have a watering routine, I pretty much just wait for the plants to tell me when they feel they need water. Now, and that's just by looking at the leaves and checking to see if it's drooping. Any changes that you may notice in the leaves. The plants will let you know when they do need water. And that's when I traditionally water my plants. So, and you also want to double check, make sure that soil is completely dried out, that it's not moist, it's not wet, depending on the type of plant that you are caring for. Doing it this way for me, it helps me out tremendously. Another tip too, or tip to remember, avoid and do not use any form of cold water when you're watering your plant. Cold water can shock the roots of your plants, and we don't want to do that because the roots are the heartbeat of the plant, and if their roots are damaged, then the whole plant is just completely declined. So I recommend you using lukewarm water or room temperature water. And really, if you think about it, you probably don't really want to use cold water during any part of the season, but definitely winter is something you totally want to stay away from. Step number 3, change your humidity. In the wintertime, in our homes, humidity can traditionally drop between 10 to 20% in our homes. And our plants are tropical in nature, so they may need some boost of humidity in the air for them to continue success throughout the winter season. So there's several things that you can do. You can actually group your plants together. I do that a lot, and I think that's beneficial. I've read that you can actually use pebble trays fill a tray up with pebbles and fill it with water, and then just sit your plants on top. Now, I would recommend you to have a cash pole when you sit your plants on top of the gravel. Don't put your actual nursery pots in there because it's going to give an opportunity for your plants to actually suck up that water, and then that could cause bigger problems than need be. So I haven't personally used it myself, but I do hear that I've read that it works. Another thing you can do is actually increase the humidity in your room by just buying a humidifier. Now, in my plant room here, my sunroom, I do have a humidifier, and I have it pretty much set at 50%. 50% for me is just my comfortability range. Every once in a while is rare. I may bump it up to maybe between 55 to 60, but 60% as a total will be my ultimate max. Step number 4, you want to keep track of the temperature in your home. We've got to keep in mind that the majority of the plants that we have, they're tropical plants, and they're used to being in a tropical, warm-like environment. And they will be most successful if you try your best to mimic that conditions that they're used to growing in. So we want to try to be mindful of the temperatures of our home. So in the daytime, our average goal range could be 65 to 75 degrees Fahrenheit. And in the evening, we don't want to go below 50 degrees Fahrenheit. So, every once in a while, you may want to just check the temperature in the room where you have your plants, or check your thermostat. You may need to bump up the heat, or maybe bring down the heat. I'm not quite sure. It depends on the environment that you're working with. Now, step number 5. We want to increase the lighting for our plants, the light that the plants receive. Because during wintertime, the sun is not as potent as it normally would be in spring and summer. And so they're not getting enough light to kind of promote that photosynthesis. There's a couple of things that we actually can do to help with that. One, we want to take this opportunity to actually clean our leaves. This is actually a good time of the year for us to not only just clean our leaves, but also inspect the leaves. Take the opportunity to actually look at the leaves, check to see for pests, or if anything seems to be abnormal. Take the opportunity to pull away dead leaves or anything, clean your plants up a little bit. And then wipe the leaves, the front, the top, as well as the bottom. Check the base of the stem to make sure there's no pest of anything. Because majority of the pests that forms on our plants typically will start at that stem, the base of the stem, where the stem actually meets the leaf. So you want to check there. Another thing you want to do if you have plants sitting in front of your window, as we all do, is a good opportunity to actually clean our windows. During the year, we'd be surprised. Our windows will collect dust and debris, and it's a good opportunity to actually wipe down the windows. Now, another thing that we also can do too, as I do, is use artificial light. Now, it doesn't have to be the top of the line. It doesn't necessarily even have to be grow lights. If you're on a budget, LED lights I found works well. I do, in my sunroom, I have my Sansi lights that work very well. Those are actually grow lights. But I have plants in my bedroom as well. And in there I use LED lights in my lamp that I usually turn on at nighttime to give my plants an extra boost. And I usually leave it on for a few hours before I actually go to bed. And so far, my plants seem to be loving it. Now, in my bedroom, I don't get a lot of light traditionally coming in, even though I do have windows in my bedroom. But I have some low light plants that's kind of in that area to accommodate that. So yeah, so you keep in mind, so clean your leaves, check for pests, clean the windows, and also use artificial lighting. You can use LED bulbs. And it works. So those are the 5 tips that I have for you guys on how to make your plants be successful and live throughout the winter season. So please, keep in mind, guys, if you love foliage as much as I do and you love listening to planty things, definitely subscribe and hit that like button. I truly appreciate any support that you can provide. Comment below. Let me know if you have any additional tips outside of what I recommend of what you do to make sure that your plants are successful throughout the winter. I would love to, let's have an open dialogue. Let's start a conversation about it. This is a plant community where we can share ideas and learn and grow together. So enjoy your day wherever you are in the world. And until next time, guys, much love. Bye.